Sometimes you just got to be the voice in the room.
Get that stuff out of here. It's Southwest Bias.
Welcome into another edition of Southwest Bias presented by our friends at the Husband and Wife Law Team. If you've got a serious injury, call the Husband and Wife Law Team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website at husbandandwifelawteam.com. And we are live from Studio K, brought to you by our friends at Circle K. Become a member of the Inner Circle today by downloading the Circle K app and start saving. You know, they say that silence is golden, and sometimes no news is good news, and all sorts of platitudes like that. And throughout my life, that has not been true. Usually when there's silence like that, that means there's trouble on the horizon. You know, there is a bad moon rising. There is something that is not going to go well when there is that much silence at a time where there's supposed to be decision making. That's where we are with the Cardinals. And maybe I'm just a dreamer believing that Mike LaFleur will be the next head coach of the Cardinals. I mean, the franchise seems to be starting fires for no good reason in this search, and their complete silence and lack of direction. If I'm honest, I'm losing faith that this franchise can start bringing back the sunshine that a few years of success brought to the Valley. I mean, if we wrote a script about this and had it all play out the way it is, no one would believe that it was based on a true story, but rather it was pure fiction with how impressively bad things have seemed. I mean, hell, Monty Austin's body language at the Jonathan Gannon press conference said it all. We should have known at that point that this might just be a guy that's in over his head. But maybe it's just time for all of us to use some substances that are for recreational use only and accept that we're in this for the long ride. But hey, at least we have Blake Shelton along with us. All right. That was a little fun because we had this tweet come out from Blake Shelton talking about how he watches the PHNX Cardinals show. And I could not resist using a monologue, at least the start of it, that included almost every Blake Shelton album title. All right, just a little fun because I'm losing my freaking mind with this coaching search. Where is the news? They supposedly, wined and dined Mike LaFleur for a day and a half, and there is zero news. The only news that came out is Campanelli is back with the Jaguars as defensive coordinator. Oh, and this little nugget that we got as well on Twitter today that says highly wanted Seahawks OC Klint Kubiak more likely to return to Seattle rather than take the head coaching job with Arizona, per reports by Tony Pauline. And in the piece, it says he may take that second interview later in the week, but he's not going to take the job. What in the actual living hell is going on in Tempe? I get it. The Cardinals wanted to play it close to the vest. They didn't want to let people know what was going on. They did not want to announce when guys were interviewing or what process or position they were in the hiring process. And now we're sitting here and we've been led to believe that LaFleur was the guy, and we're getting no answers there. The only thing that we heard that came out yesterday was that they had talked to Ron Rivera at some point in this, which, when Diana Rossini dropped that little nugget, everybody lost their mind. And I thought, you know what, patience. It's mid-afternoon. They can announce this. It could happen. Tick, 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 tick. If this were a 2-minute drill, the Cardinals would have thrown an interception or accidentally run out the clock. There is no answers. And I'm starting to wonder if LaFleur is using this to just get more money out of the Rams right now to go back there, because maybe he's getting lowballed. Maybe he doesn't like what he saw in his in-person interview. Maybe he does not trust the vision that Monty Ossenfort has, or maybe it's just taking a while to negotiate the contract. But guess what? Years of mismanagement, years of not communicating with your fan base, years of losing and being a joke make your fans get nervous in these situations, and rightfully so, because we have zero idea what is going on. And the reports that we're getting make it feel less and less likely that Mike LaFleur is the guy. Why all of a sudden is this Klint Kubiak's going to have a second interview later in the week? To me, that screams you either got turned down, you didn't like something that LaFleur said, or you're in PR crisis mode trying to figure out how to gain a little leverage in a contract negotiation. Should be, here's the piece of paper, write your number down. The longer this goes on, the more I worry that we're going to wind up in the Vance Joseph position that we all thought would be abysmal. Or, maybe Raheem Morris, which is really starting to look more and more like Vance Joseph without the tie to the Cardinals in the past. Now, Raheem's had a little bit of success in his time, but there are serious concerns that all this is getting me towards. I do not believe in what is going on. And maybe it all resolves today, and tomorrow I come here and I say, you know what? Sure, they interviewed 18 people. Sure, there is a lot that went wrong, but they got Mike LaFleur, and Raheem Morris is going to be his defensive coordinator. Maybe there's a path to hope. Or maybe tomorrow we get here and we're in the same exact position with no news, no insight, and the fact that we have watched the Cardinals yet again go deep into a coaching search where almost every other team has made their hire, and they have nobody. If this was musical chairs, their ass would wind up on the ground the way this is going. This is, again, Green Bongo says, no new news is good news, right? Come on, man, don't make me suffer so much. Amen. The silence is not good. It should not take you 2 days to negotiate a contract if that's your guy. I feel like they had a few number one choices, didn't work out. Now they're trying to figure out who's next in line, and maybe they're not sure. Figure it out, because coaching staffs are going to be tougher to hire. You're going to find yourself in the same spot, and if Nick Rallis is your defensive coordinator again, you have massively fumbled the ball. You are essentially Mark Sanchez running into the ass of your offensive lineman and having a butt fumble at this point. Cardinals fans have been embarrassed so often, and it feels like we're going to collide with that yet again. At this point, I don't even know that Mike LaFleur is going to make me feel all that good. People in our Discord were like, hey, you're going to have to give Bidwell credit if he gets LaFleur. No, I don't. If he gets the right coaching staff around him, maybe I'll give him credit for spending the money. But this has been a joke. PR 101, other teams, it showed you the path on how to do this. Not here. Can't do it here. Can't show the fans any hope or any light with that. Why would we do that after the worst season in franchise history? Now, I'm sure the news could break during this show too, and it could look crazy, but the fans are losing their minds. And it does not feel like anything over the last 24 hours has done anything to make that seem better. In fact, some of it has made it seem worse. The complete and utter silence, to me, says that there is a massive problem going on. And that's just not okay. Fans are going to get louder than they've been. Season ticket holders are going to get antsier than they've been. And if this entire thing that has lasted far too long leads you down the road of Vance Joseph or Raheem Morris, I don't think that's going to make anybody feel any better about anything. In fact, it may make them feel worse than where they were after the season ended. The Cardinals need to end this now. They need to get their man, and it sounds like it's Mike LaFleur or bust at this point. Pay the money, meet whatever demands, or let everybody know that it's not happening and let's get on with it. Because this is getting ridiculous. But at least we can hang out with Blake Shelton while we're suffering through it. But maybe that's just my Southwest bias. We welcome in the mustache behind the Mac, Shane Diefenbach. Shane, silence isn't golden, my friend.
No, this is horrible.
It is brutal.
I was joking with Johnny that we would be at the Super Bowl again, asking people about the head coaching search for the Arizona Cardinals as a joke, and I've never seen him get so angry at me. There's a legitimate chance that this bleeds over into next week at this point if they don't hire LaFleur. There is.
Who are you going after? I mean, it sounds like Kubiak's out.
Who knows?
So at that point, just friggin', if Vance Joseph is the guy that you're infatuated with, just friggin' hire him.
Wow.
Raheem Morris, just freaking hire him. If we find out that Mike LaFleur decides that being the Rams offensive coordinator is better than being the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, which it sounds like Klint Kubiak has said being the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks is better than the Cardinals, that's rock bottom. That is the lowest that the franchise has ever been when you get to the point where somebody's like, nah, I'm good. I'm not taking one of those 32 jobs. I'll keep this coordinator job and roll the dice.
Or keep the coordinator job or roll the dice and go be a head coach in Vegas. Like, that could happen as well.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like LaFleur's the guy. I think Kubiak.
That's what I meant.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Kubiak's there. But and good on him if that's his prerogative. You're going to have the best quarterback in the draft. You know, Tom Brady's there. They're a dumpster fire too, but at least you can kind of understand some of that. But this is bending my mind in ways I did not imagine that we'd be sitting here. Yeah. If the Rams were in the Super Bowl and you're saying LaFleur's the guy, then I understand that you're waiting and fine. Okay, we'll go through that song and dance again, but that's not the case.
Yeah. I also just, like, it doesn't seem to me like LaFleur would turn a head coaching opportunity down. I just don't feel like he would. And so if he isn't the hire, then this could be a classic case of overthinking, which would be even worse than the other alternative, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can act like you're the smartest guys in the room, but when the results suggest otherwise, don't try to outsmart everybody. And maybe find a room where there's people that are going to push you to better decisions.
Yeah.
This has been weird. There's been all sorts of whispers, but no true credible anything coming out. There's been talk that maybe this is, LaFleur's Bidwell's guy and it's not who Monty Ossenfort likes. I don't know. And that's the problem. We don't know. And we will find out the details of this when this is all over. And I don't think that any of us are going to feel all that great about it in the end. Like, I think right now, even if you hire Mike LaFleur, I think you've put some luster. You've taken some of the luster off that. You've scuffed that up even.
Yeah, fans were excited.
Yeah.
There was a lot of juice. Bo's juice meter was juiced up.
Yeah, now it's all just gin. They got rid of the juice. We're all just drinking.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, some of those recreational substances only, or for recreational use only.
Yeah.
Go back and look. I think all but one of Blake Shelton's album titles in that little rant.
Fantastic.
You think Blake will recognize it?
No, I don't think Blake likes us.
I
think he only likes Johnny.
My daughter said when she saw that tweet, "Daddy, you're like 20% famous now, not that 5 I used to tell you." Wow. I was like, "Sweetie, I'm not famous at all. I'm not at all." But Blake Shelton certainly is, and that was cool. That makes us all 1 degree away from Gwen Stefani, which I never thought I'd be 1 degree of separation away from a member of No Doubt. You know what we're only a few degrees of separation from? Being 50K subscribers on YouTube. It's the race to 50K. You see the counter down there. We're at 49,367. Help us get over that hump by Super Bowl. We can do it. We got a week. Let's make that happen. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you have and you're looking for another way to be part of the family, do me a favor. Hit that join button and become a supporter club member. Right now, $5 a month, you're going to unlock custom emojis. You're going to unlock a super chat that you get for free every month. You're going to get exclusive content and so much more. So why wouldn't you? A big hello to all the bias in the chat. Desert Vulture, Street Truckin' and Titan, 5'9" in the clothing. My wife Tracy, Jacob's in there. Everybody. I think I saw Deborah in there as well. Thank you, everybody, for being in there and being a member of the bias. Hit that like button right now. I want to get that number high up on that list today. Let's aim for 50 today. Let's make 50 happen here as we go for 50,000 on YouTube. On the other side of the break, if he can figure out his technology, my friend Cam Cox from 12 News is going to come on. We'll talk more about the Cardinals coaching hire. That's coming up after halftime. Have you ever been in a serious accident? Has anybody in your family gotten injured because of that, or God forbid, had a wrongful death? Well, if you've had to get a lawyer, you probably know the headache that comes along with that. And if you don't do your research, you're going to pay dearly in the long run. And if you do your research, I think you're going to find the husband and wife law team, because Mark and Alexis Breyer take this seriously and are here to help you how they can. They and their lawyers at the firm are certified in serious injury and wrongful death. They are part of 1% of lawyers by the Arizona bar that are certified in that. And guess what? They are prepared to go to trial if it's necessary. And the best part is they will put more in your pocket than they take home for their pay. That is part of what makes the husband and wife law team so special. And it's not just that either. You can get in touch with your lawyer at any time. That is a huge thing when you go through this process. I can tell you, couldn't get in touch with my lawyer, and there's nothing more frustrating. So if you've had a serious injury, call the husband and wife law team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website in the link in our show notes and tell them PHNX sent you. And got to tell you about Branded Bills. You see me wear their hats almost every day on this program, and I love them. I am a hat addict, all right? I am a fiend. If they had a 1-800-NEXT-HAT line to call for people that have a problem with buying too many hats, that would be this guy. And all of them are becoming Branded Bills because I love the way they fit. I love the way they look, and I love the fact that they are super easy to clean. I can tell you, not a lot of hats are. Sometimes it is next to impossible to clean the hats that you have. Branded Bills, you don't have that problem. Plus, they sell a great cleaning kit as well. It is unbelievable. And the best part, they are made right here in Arizona, and they have partnerships with 40 universities, including ASU, U of A, and their campus collection is unbelievable. Plus, they work with the Suns, and they work with us here at PHNX. We have custom hats that you will love. You'll love the fit. You'll love the quality. And right now you can head to brandedbills.com and use the promo code BBPHNX, and you're going to save 15% off your first order. All right. So somebody in the chat named What in the Tarnation is going on here, which I love, had this. By the way, big thank you to our halftime performer, Kevin Hart. Some of the funniest jokes I've ever heard, all Arizona sports related. So I hope you enjoyed that halftime show. But what in the tarnations is going on? Said LaFleur probably wants to coach Kyler for a year, and that's holding up things. LOL. I really hope that's not the case. I really hope he's not like, I'm dying on the hill of I need Kyler Murray for a season. Do you think that's happening, Shane? I don't, but I hope not.
No.
We've also got Rudy saying, next thing you know, we're going to interview Jim Schwartz, which then you've got Street Truck and Titan says, may the Schwartz be with you. And Antonio going to where we shouldn't. Alex Morello can turn the Cardinals around.
That's nasty.
You mean turn them around and send them right back to St. Louis? I mean, that sounds like something that he certainly could manage. One of our favorites, Schaff, in the chat saying, we sure as hell better not screw this up. If Bidwell is waiting for Kubiak, that's a huge mistake. He's going to the Raiders 100% and could cause LaFleur to stay in L.A. Okay, we have hit DEFCON 1. We've hit the highest DEFCON level because Schaff is officially concerned.
Oh, no.
We have lost Schaff. Everybody panic. We have lost Schaff. That means things are not going well. This is not good at all that we have lost. We have lost Shaft. That seriously concerns me here. Shane, who would be the worst hire in your books? Like, who would that be?
I mean, if you hire like a child, that'd be pretty bad.
I don't know. I mean, could it be
For viable candidates? I think it's VJ just because of the fan base. Like, I honestly don't think it would be the worst from a football and head coaching perspective, but or maybe Ron Rivera. But
at least Rivera's won in the NFL.
Kind of. Not really.
Wasn't he 15-1 in a season? I mean, Cam Newton effect.
Recency. I don't like. He has not. The biggest thing with VJ is the fan base and the apathy that it would cause. Like, I think that's why I think it would be the worst hire.
Can I admit something? I actually feel bad for Vance Joseph at this point because he's a guy that's worked his ass off his entire career. And probably deserves another chance. I just don't feel like it could be here. DJ Boogie says VJ, Morris, and Weaver would all be bad. Yeah, I mean, you've basically gone down the list and have hit that bottom of that pyramid that we had put together, the bottom of Camelback Mountain in that row that I don't think anyone was prepared to make a hire from. It's one thing to have John Harbaugh turn you down, say, we'll only have a phone call, that's it. And I'm going to the Giants, fine. You can accept that. Robert Saleh stings. The fact that you didn't talk with Mike McDaniel or with McDermott, those are problematic. But if we get to LaFleur and Kubiak say, nah, thanks, I can be a coordinator, I'll go coach the Raiders, and then you're staring at the face of Anthony Weaver, Vance Joseph, you're looking at you're looking at Raheem Morris, who I think is the best of the three. All of a sudden, what are you doing? You have hit a point of no return that you're not getting your fan base back. None of that is bringing any juice. I mean, that's 4 crumpled empty juice boxes. That's negative juice in Bo's meter. And there's nothing. And then what's a name that comes out of nowhere? I saw somebody in the chat say, "Oh, maybe you can go get your boy there, Belichick, who is now pissed off he didn't make the Hall of Fame." No thanks. Maybe Jordan Hudson can coach the team at this point. Hell, how about Jordan Ott? Jordan Ott's found a way to have some success in the Valley. Why not him? I know people want something positive, but again, Shaft's in here. This was supposed to be a big, beautiful day with the hiring of Mike LaFleur, and instead, we're back to usual Cardinals BS. WTF is going on? I'm telling you, when we have lost Shaft to this degree, we are in trouble. Street Truck and Titan says, I'd go Riverboat Ron before Vance. I might just let, at that point, Monty coach the team and say, you created this mess. You can figure it out there. So
someone said they took LaFleur to Chili's and made him pay the bill.
No, they would have gone to Durant's and made him pay the bill.
True.
Really stick it to him there. Could this really be just negotiating? I don't think I've ever. I could imagine that this would just be them sitting around a neguation table trying to figure out how this would work.
I hope not. I think that would be the. I mean, I guess I hope so, and I hope he's not just gone completely. But that would be something.
Yeah, I don't. If this is negotiation, that post-hiring press conference is going to be a truly uncomfortable one, I believe, when you look at it. Fontana in the chat says, lame duck GM is never a good idea. Becoming a lamer duck by the minute. We're going to welcome in our friend Cam Cox from 12 Sports. Cam, how are you, my friend?
I'm great, Espo. How you doing, buddy?
I'm all right. I would be better. What are you making of the radio silence from the Cardinals coaching search?
I think it's twofold, kind of, Espo. One, I think the book is out on this job, and that's something that I've kind of heard from around the league, just how difficult it is to work here for the Cardinals at times. I think people know that. I think those coaches who can be a little bit more selective, you're seeing, are being a little bit more selective in where they're going. Now, that doesn't mean that people are lining up, turning down this job left and right, I just think some coaches are being a little selective when it comes to the hiring process. And then second, I think the Cardinals hear some of this. I think the Cardinals hear that they're getting kind of pounded across the country when it comes to kind of their reputation among things. But that doesn't mean they're not going to get a good candidate. I think some of the names that have kind of come out here towards the end, I think would all be good hires. Klint Kubiak, Mike LaFleur, even Vance Joseph. I know some fans are kind of down on him, but I don't necessarily have a problem with him. He's considered a great leader and a great coach among those you talk to in the NFL. So it is a weird process. The radio silence from them, I don't necessarily like. I wish they'd be a little more transparent with the fan base, and I think the fan base would appreciate that a little bit, but to each his own when they come to that.
There was the Ron Rivera little tidbit that came out from Diana Rossini. Now, you talked about that a little bit on Twitter. What did you hear on that front?
Yeah, so when I checked in on like where they were yesterday, a couple of things that I heard. One, Ron Rivera was a couple of weeks ago. So that wasn't necessarily yesterday, but it did just come out that it was a couple of weeks ago that they brought him in to interview. Why not? He's got a lot of experience, Espo. That's all I heard with that, but I kind of understand trying to talk to somebody like him. Listen, for the knock on JG and his staff was that they didn't have enough experience, especially when it came to the offensive side of the ball. A coach like Ron Rivera would bring a lot of experience. He'd bring an experienced assistant coaching staff. So like all that and above, I get it. Why not? You know what I mean? And then the second thing after that, I wanted to see kind of where they were in a sense. Didn't get a lot of details on that, but I did get the vibe that this thing is not over. And then, of course, no surprise today that it leaks out that Klint Kubiak is going to meet with them reportedly for a second interview at some point this week. So, yes, they brought in Mike LaFleur. Yes, still without a contract right now. And it sounds like they want to talk to Klint Kubiak, which I think is a brilliant move on their part. So I got the vibe when reaching out on Wednesday that this thing was not over yet. And apparently it's still not.
There was some reporting earlier today that Kubiak would be leaning towards going back to Seattle rather than accepting a head coaching job here. Potentially posturing, or do you think things have gotten to a point where coaches are seriously considering their options in that way?
I think somebody like Kubiak is one of those coaches that has options. Remember, there's only 2 jobs left now, the Raiders and the Cardinals. So are you going to tip your hand right off the back? Are you going to, put out there exactly what you want to do? Probably not. The fact that he's going to speak with the Cardinals, I think, is a big deal. I think it's someone who they definitely should talk to. I've always been a Kubiak family fan. Listen, they are football. Their dad Gary, he played for the Broncos, was there with John Elway, learned under Mike Shanahan. They grew up going to games, being in that locker. Like, they are as football as they come. And yes, Klint Kubiak is only 38 years old too as well, so he's just the same age as Mike LaFleur. They're both young guys, but something tells me a guy like Klint would bring in a lot of experience, and you need a first-time head coach. You need to surround yourself with that. You need to have a really good staff. Bruce Arians taught us that here a handful of years ago. So that's why I personally lean a little bit more towards Klint than Mike, just because of the fact that I think, he would bring a lot more experience with him when it comes to this job, even being a first-time coach, because the background, the history. Yes, Mike LaFleur worked under Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay, but I just can't wrap my head around that he knows more football than a guy like Klint Kubiak. And so the fact that they're going to talk, they're going to chat, I think it's a great thing. What that means, is he doing it for leverage? Who knows kind of at this point. But a guy like Klint is going to have some options. Clearly he has 2 left, and it's going to take probably something from the Cardinals to make it work. You have to see behind the scenes. I would think if they are waiting this long to talk to him, there's got to be something with it, just like, hey, we're just going to speak to another candidate. You can't be this late in the process and be like, oh, we're just going to speak to him and see how it goes. There's got to be a little bit more with it behind the scenes.
I feel like it's, hey, we're about to get engaged, but I really need to go talk to that woman over there before we do it. Because if she's interested, I might not do this.
Espo, they just haven't bought the ring yet. All right, they're waiting to buy the ring. You know what I mean? I don't know if they're at that point just yet. They're waiting to buy the ring. They want to talk to one more person before they buy that ring. It's frustrating, Espo.
Can we have one Rumspringer before we do this? Can we just go out and have a good time? I'm going to Vegas for the weekend. Then we'll decide if we're going to put a ring on it.
That never is. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Listen, Espo, I get it. Fans are frustrated. I was going back and forth with some people on social media today, and it almost seems like fans are rooting for them to kind of screw this up. And I get it. It's been a lot of bad here recently, and I don't I understand why they feel that way. Why they feel like the Cardinals have somewhat never got it right. I mean, you look at the playoff appearances, throughout the last 60 years. There's just not many to begin with. You got other people who are leaving, getting first time jobs and having more success. You got people who interviewed here years ago that are getting more success. I get why Cardinal fans feel that way. You would have to think. Listen, to me, it was a big deal when they moved on from JG. I know for a fact Michael had a lot of respect for JG behind the scenes, and that was a very hard decision for him to make. I would like to believe that the fans had a big deal in some of that. You looked at kind of where season tickets were. You looked at where the hope factor was in the Valley, where this team was trending, the fact that they weren't winning. To me, moving on, getting a billionaire like Michael Bidwell to move on from somebody that he trusted and liked to run this organization, to me, is a big deal. And so I would love to see how this plays out for the Cardinals before I go all doom and gloom like some of the fan base is going.
I know this is an old reference, but did you ever see the movie The Da Vinci Code?
I love the Da Vinci Code. Okay. Great movie.
Cardinals fans are the albino monk. We don't want them to fail, but I think we just continually flog ourselves because we feel like we deserve the punishment at this point, Cam. I feel like that's what it is more than anything. But you mentioned LaFleur, you mentioned Kubiak, you brought up Vance Joseph's name. Raheem Morris, you hearing anything on that front? Because people seem to think he was one of the final three, but I'm not so sure at this point.
No, didn't hear anything on that front whatsoever. He would make a great assistant coach. I think you saw in Atlanta, they said kind of the same thing with JG. They just didn't win. So I'm not sure how not necessarily kind of hire someone who's just coming off not having a lot of success. I think you could pair him with anybody the same way kind of Cliff and VJ worked so well together here. You bring that experience too as well. So I hope he's on somewhat of the staff. I think he's got a lot of respect around the league too as well. But no, have not heard anything on his name front besides it being reported that he was one of 3 finalists. And also, I wouldn't count out Anthony Campanelli. Listen, I know fans really like that video behind the scenes of him talking from that Hard Knocks episode. I'll say this. JG was just like that behind the scenes. He just didn't want those videos out. The Cardinals didn't necessarily put out all those speeches from JG. And that's just how they kind of ran things behind the scenes there. But JG was just as fiery as Anthony Campanelli behind the scenes in team meetings. But we've seen it before, right? Yes, like his boss, Liam Cohen. He was supposed to stay with the Bucks. He even said, "I'm not going to take that job in Jacksonville." Then all of a sudden, took the job in Jacksonville. What was it? Less than a week later. So assistant coaches could stay all they want, but if they get a job offer, it's one of 32. Espo. They're not going to turn it down.
You heard it here first. Cam Cox saying Vance Joseph head coach, Cliff Kingsbury offensive coordinator. Just kidding. Don't aggregate that. Don't get Cam in trouble.
Oh, you're going to aggregate. Oh, they're going to aggregate that. They're going to aggregate. Espo, listen, I get why fans aren't so hype on Vance Joseph because you already had him in the building. You had a chance to hire him once before. But listen, any coach that's good enough to work for Sean Payton and lead that defense and lead them to where they've kind of have been. Yes, at times watching the Broncos, they still can't cover tight ends, so that's a little concerning, right? Those are some flashback days for when he was here. But listen, if a guy like VJ is a great leader, he'd be a great leader for any team. To me, the big thing is who they surround themselves with as far as assistants go. And I know I keep harping on that because that just wasn't the case with JG and some of his coordinators. So I really think it's very important that whoever they hire has a big staff, has a great staff that has a lot of experience on it. And a guy like Vance Joseph would be a great leader in my eyes.
Cam, did you get a new office? The background looks different.
We did. Yeah, we moved to Cape Canaveral, Florida. Welcome to NASA Mission Control. And we launch rockets from here. It's great.
Man, I know that local media is contracting, but they've sent you to Florida. Good luck covering the Cardinals from there.
Yeah. We work out of NASA. In fact, the mission control is like right over there. So it's just kind of like an extension. We actually borrowed some of the desks to set all this up. No, we just moved floors. Yes, and we got a new office.
Well, congratulations on that, and go land one of those spaceships. He is Cam Cox. You can follow him at CamCox12. You can catch him on 12 Sports every night. The man's putting in the work over there with his team. Always appreciate it, Cam.
Espo, no sons? Okay. All right, we'll do it another day.
We will. We'll talk Suns next week. Maybe I'll have you back.
I'll text you about it because I got thoughts. Later, man.
All right. That is Cam Cox. Big thank you to him for stopping by. An even bigger thank you to the mustache behind the Mac, helping run everything today while our computer decided it didn't want to run. So thank you to that. You can follow him at Shane Deef. You can follow the program at PHNX_sports. You can follow me at Espo. And for God's sake, hire a coach. Ahoy, hoy.
We all silly like the mayor.